the committee will first take action on the draft proposals before it and subsequently adopt the report of its 20th session. Allow me at this juncture to inform you of how I propose to proceed with our work this evening. I would first take up all of the proposals of draft decisions for adoption by agenda item. After all the decisions are adopted, I will open the floor for statements by regional and interest groups. The committee will then proceed with the adoption of its report for this session. Subsequently, we will take up the item on elections of officers other than the chair before concluding the work of the committee at its 18th session. May I take it that this proposal is agreeable to all? I hear no objection. We shall proceed accordingly. I now invite the committee to resume its consideration of Agenda Item 2, entitled Effective Implementation of the Convention at National, Regional, Sub-Regional Levels, Sub-Item A, entitled Review of the Report of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention on its 19th session, in order to take action on a draft decision. The draft decision is entitled Report of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention at its 19th session and contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L1. May I take it that the committee wishes to adopt the draft decision contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L1 and recommend it to the Conference of the Parties for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. I now invite the committee to resume its consideration of Agenda Item 2, Sub-Items B, entitled Multi-Year Work Plan for Convention Institutions and Subsidiary Bodies, and C, entitled Performance of Convention Institutions and Subsidiary Bodies. Delegations will recall that the multi-year work plan for the convention institutions and subsidiary bodies, together with the performance report, was allocated to the Committee of the Whole, which is expected to adopt draft decisions in this regard. I now invite the committee to resume its consideration of Agenda Item 2, entitled Effective Implementation of the Convention at National, Sub-Regional, and Regional Levels, Sub-Item D, entitled Integration of Sustainable Development Goal 15 and related Target 15.3 into the implementation of the Convention and land degradation neutrality in order to take action on a draft decision. The draft decision is entitled Integration of Sustainable Goal 15 and related Target 15.3 into the implementation of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification and Land Degradation Neutrality, and contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L2. May I take it that the committee wishes to adopt the draft decision contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L2 and recommend it to the Conference of the Parties for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. I now invite the committee to resume its consideration of Agenda Item 2, entitled Effective Implementation of the Convention at National, Sub-Regional, and Regional Levels, Sub-Item E, entitled Development and Promotion of Activities for Targeted Capacity Building to further the implementation of the Convention in order to take action on a draft decision. The draft decision is entitled Promotion of Capacity Building to further the implementation of the Convention and contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L3. May I take it that the committee wishes to adopt the draft decision contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L3 and recommend it to the Conference of the Parties for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. With that, the committee has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 2. I now invite the committee to resume its consideration of Agenda Item 3, entitled Improving the Procedures for Communication of Information, as well as the quality and formats of reports to be submitted to the Conference of the Parties in order to take action on a draft decision. The draft decision is entitled Improving the Procedures for Communication of Information, as well as the quality and formats of reports to be submitted to the Conference of the Parties, and contained in document ICCD/Cric20/L6. May I take it that the committee wishes to adopt the draft decision contained in document ICCD/Cric20/L6 and recommend it to the Conference of the Parties for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. The committee has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 3. I now invite the committee to resume its consideration of Agenda Item 4, entitled Securing of Additional Investments and Relations with Financial Mechanisms, Subitem A, Report by the Global Environment Facility on the financing of programs and projects concerning desertification, land degradation, and drought, in order to take action on a draft decision. The draft decision is entitled Collaboration with the Global Environment Facility and contained in document ICCD/Cric20/L8. May I take it that the committee wishes to adopt the draft decision contained in document ICCD/Cric20/L8 and recommend it to the Conference of the Parties for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. I now invite the committee to resume its consideration of Subitem 4B, Report by the Global Mechanism on Progress Made in the Mobilization of Resources for the Implementation of the Convention, in order to take action on a draft decision. The draft decision is entitled Report by the Global Mechanism on Progress Made on Mobilization of Resources for the Implementation of the Convention, and contained in document ICCD/Cric20/L7. May I take it that the committee wishes to adopt the draft decision contained in document ICCD/Cric20/L7 and recommend it to the Conference of the Parties for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. The committee has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 4. I now invite the committee to begin its consideration of Agenda Item 5, entitled Procedural Matters, Program of Work for the 21st Session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention, in order to take action on 2 draft decisions. The draft decisions are entitled Program of Work for the 21st Session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention, and contained in document ICCD/Cric20/L5, and date and venue of the 21st Session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention, contained in document ICCD/Cric20/L4. May I take it that the committee wishes to adopt the draft decision contained in document ICCD/Cric18/L5 and recommend it to the Conference of the Parties for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. Distinguished delegates, the committee has thus adopted all the draft proposals before it for this session. I now open the floor for statements on any of the draft proposals adopted today. Distinguished delegates, with your permission, I would like to go back to decision L4. May I also take it that the committee wishes to adopt the draft decision contained in document ICCD/Cric 18/L4 and recommend it to the Conference of the Parties for its adoption? I hear no objection. It is so decided. The committee has thus concluded its consideration of Agenda Item 5. Distinguished delegates, I will now open the floor for statements on any of the draft proposals adopted today. I recognize the distinguished delegate from Angola. Angola, you have the floor.
Thanks very much, Chair. Mr. Chair, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the African Group, I would like to reiterate my deep thanks and express my sincere congratulations to the government and people of Côte d'Ivoire, as well as the Secretariat of the Convention, for having organized this 20th session of the Cric with a greater success, which took place at a time that called for greater commitment at all levels. Furthermore, I would like to thank all parties for having shown a sense of solidarity and a constructive spirit during the formal and informal discussions, and also for the richness and the quality of their contributions in relation to the items of the agenda. Mr. Chair, allow me to take this opportunity to congratulate you for the good conduct of our work, which gives us assurance that the next steps leading to Cric 21 and the COP16 will certainly take into account the main outcomes obtained during this Cric session. Mr. Chair, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, overall, the African Group welcomes the results of this session of the Cric, including the operational nature of the decisions taken regarding capacity building, improving procedures for communication of the information as well as the quality of report format, collaboration with the Global Environment Facility and the Global Mechanism, and the program of work for the 21st session of the Cric. As for resource mobilization, we'd like to recognize the importance of the decisions taken as well as their pragmatic aspect, mainly the development of time-bound strategy to increase fund mobilization based on the needs assessment to support the parties in the achievement of the objectives of the Convention. In view of this, we would like to warmly thank parties for their understanding and support, and also Global Mechanism and the Global Environment Facility for their continuing support. On the other hand, we welcome efforts to enhance capacity building to best address drought mitigation and recovery, sand and dust storms, measures to achieve land degradation neutrality, and the gender responsive. In relation to drought, which is a major issue affecting all African countries and the others, it has not received the deserved attention, even though it has been one of the core areas of the UNSCD since its adoption. In this regard, Africa believes that the establishment of a legal binding instrument on drought would be the best method to draw attention to this phenomenon in an integrated manner while addressing the synergy aspects between the Rio Conventions. Mr. Chair, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, although the 20th session of the Cric has come to an end, it has given us a great deal of work to be carried out, and we should therefore remain committed, all, and maintain the same dynamism in order to mark the sure path to 2030 with great enthusiasm and hope. The African Regional Group remains confident of the understanding and solidarity of the parties to strengthen our collaboration on the points of convergence and to work tirelessly to close the gap on the divergent elements in order to build a better future for all humanity. Similarly, our region can fully rely on the proven capacity of the Secretariat under the leadership of Ms. Ibrahim Chow to identify and activate the appropriate levers to enable the successful implementation of the Convention's provision. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
I thank the distinguished delegate from Angola for his statement. I now recognize the distinguished delegate of Panama. Panama, you have the floor.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Chair. I have the honor of making this statement on behalf of the 33 countries that make up the Latin American and Caribbean group, CRULAC. CRULAC thanks the authorities of Côte d'Ivoire, especially the city of Abidjan, for its hospitality at this COP. We also express our appreciation again to the Secretariat of the Convention for organizing COP15 and this Cric 20. Likewise, we greet the states parties and the various agencies of the UN and representatives of civil society and all those who are participating and who have contributed to the important discussions we have been having. I wish now to set forth our statement on the agenda of the negotiations in Cric 20. As a region, we're aware of the efforts made by the Convention to improve the information communication procedures, as well as the quality and formats of the reports that should be submitted to the COP, including the establishment of a geospatial platform, which we think is very important in assessing the connectivity of our various ecosystems that are experiencing degradation and drought in Annex 3 countries. Likewise, we view positively the design of activities to foster capacity of parties, as well as the methodological improvements introduced to calculate the indicators adopted for monitoring progress and the encouragement given to parties to use their own national data and to analyze them through Trends Earth. However, we wish to emphasize that although the Convention is not a provider of data, and it depends on other organizations, institutions, and processes, our region needs more high-resolution data, which would especially help small or mountainous countries to provide even more precise findings on implementation of the Convention using PRAISE 4. We then encourage the Convention to make additional efforts to stimulate the production of this better data sets for use in the future and to improve decision-making at all levels. We are struck by the fact that subsequently there's a need to maintain effective and efficient communication and management to secure funds for umbrella projects, helping parties to begin developing in a timely fashion their actions before each reporting cycle. We highlight the great work undertaken by the Global Mechanism by way of support in the actions which the CRULAC region is developing, especially with respect to the Drought Initiative and the LDN target setting process. We therefore call for this support to continue with greater impact on the implementation phase and proper articulation of various forms of funding for the governmental sector or indeed for the private sector, strengthening promotion and interaction with the LDN fund and pooling efforts with other regions. Thereby we will bring about real impact in the integration of SDG 15 and Target 15.3 in implementation of the Convention as a course of action at the national, sub-regional and regional levels and on the tax-cutting issue, the cross-cutting issues of gender and youth. As regards the LDN Fund, we're aware that it fosters capacity in formulation, monitoring and evaluation of the projects it promotes. However, we suggest that insofar as possible, it include in its scope investment of funds available for the private sector, which could then be directed to the public sector as appropriate in order to generate and strengthen capacity on LDN for the beneficiaries of projects. We wish to point out that LDN efforts require additional support of all stakeholders in order to have a positive and telling impact on our territories. That is why we request exploration of the possibility of increasing non-refundable financial flows and technical assistance so that the countries most affected by degradation and drought may continue to create the requisite conditions to be more proactive and less reactive in tackling them. In the light of all of this, we view with enthusiasm the increase in the support which the Global Environment Facility has earmarked for the GEF 8 replenishment cycle. And therefore, in keeping with the framework of action of the GEF, we encourage a continued increase in the support to parties in implementation at the territorial level, taking as a basis the national plans against drought and LDN targets, with a capacity building approach on prevention and monitoring of degradation through early warning systems and complementarity with other Rio conventions while respecting their respective mandates and objectives. We feel that in order to ensure that our intervention has a real impact, there's a need for strong collaborative action between public institutions, the private sector, including financial institutions, international organizations, academia, and civil society. Therefore, in a context of common but differentiated responsibilities, we can bring about a proper transition from dry and degraded ecosystems to more sustainable and resilient ecosystems. This can be achieved through continuous capacity development and implementation of climate-adapted approaches, practices, and techniques, preserving the environment and biodiversity, while also helping to strengthen the resilience of millions of people living in vulnerable areas in our regions, actions which should benefit from proper decision-making on the basis of the national report submitted to this convention. Lastly, Chair, we urge the Secretariat to foster investments which will provide socio-economical and environmental benefits and in turn contribute to the post-COVID-19 economic recovery, following or pursuing resilient development models which will bring us to true land degradation neutrality. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished delegate from Panama for her statement. Are there any other delegations that wish to make a statement at this time? I recognize CSO. The CSO, you have the floor.
Sorry, I'm not CSO, I'm FAO, sorry. Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. President. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, FAO, welcomes the reporting in the effective implementation of the Convention at national, sub-regional and regional levels, and would like to offer the following specific comment. On the point ICCD Cric 20L2 works with countries and partners to build capacities, develop tools and help decision makers to promote the development and implementation of policies and strategies that contribute to the achievement of LDN and other SDG targets. FAO, as a member of the Interagency Advisory Group, supports countries in monitoring and reporting on SDG target of 15.3. A decision support framework that enhances informed decision-making at various levels has been elaborated and can assist policymakers and managers to mainstream and scale out sustainable land management over large areas. Accurate and timely information is critical for natural resources to be managed sustainably. FAO developed CEPAL, System for Earth Supervision Data Access, Processing and Analysis for Land Monitoring, which helps countries monitor and report on forest land and land use, as well as a framework for ecosystem restoration monitoring under the UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, which aims to act as a platform to support the global monitoring actions. With regards to ICCD Cric 20L3, FAO is pleased to continue collaboration with UNCCD Secretariat and partners to support national, regional, global knowledge platforms for sharing lessons, best practices, and to support and to promote capacity building across sector stakeholders and decision-making levels. FAO welcomes and appreciates the ongoing collaboration with UNCCD to increase communities and ecosystems preparedness to drought and desertification and to enhance resilience of the most vulnerable. FAO cooperates with UNCCD to support countries on drought preparedness. This is prone under the Global Framework on Water Scarcity in Agriculture, WASAC, led by FAO and the UNCCD-led Drought Initiative. FAO will continue to provide support to countries in developing and implementing country-based and regional initiatives and programs, in particular in the Near East and North Africa, as well in Asia and the Pacific, and to share at the disposal of UNCCD and country parties experience, methodologies and tools on integrated drought management, including also stable land, soil and water management to protect livelihoods and achieve food security. FAO recognizes the importance of the STS and its local, regional, global dimensions. The transboundary nature of STS requires stronger partnership and strengthening regional, inter-regional cooperation. Land use planning, integrated landscape management tools and approaches are key to support mitigation and resilient efforts. FAO is a member of the UN Coalition on Sand and Dust Storms, launched at COP14, and will work with partners providing countries expertise on STS-related issues. FAO will continue to share its experience, methodologies, and tools to combat STS. Also, FAO recognizes the fundamental importance of land governance and land tenure, security for achieving land degradation neutrality, and is pleased that following decision 26 COP14, UNCCD and FAO have produced a technical guide on how to integrate the VGGT in the context of adopted by the Committee of Food Security into the implementation of the Convention and land degradation neutrality. FAO has carried this program in partnership with multiple organizations.
Excuse me, may I ask the distinguished speaker to speak a bit slower so that our translators may be able to translate effectively? I'm sorry about that.
Sorry, and I'm going to finish also. FAO VGT support program has started to integrate senior into the LDN project and programs such as with Jeff 7 Dryden and Impact Program in several countries. FAO is also working jointly with WOCAT, UNCCD and other partners to develop and test a standardized module on tenure for the WOCAT database to allow all stakeholders to improve knowledge and exchange their good practices and lessons learned on the implementation of the LDN tenure nexus. FAO stands ready to strengthen capacities on the application of the VGDD LDN guide at country level. Thank you very much, and sorry for being so fast.
I thank the FAO for its statement. Are there any other delegates or organizations that may wish to make a statement at this time? I see none, and allow me to thank all speakers for their statements. Distinguished delegates, I invite the committee to turn its attention to Agenda Item 6, entitled Adoption of the Report of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention. It is my pleasure to give the floor to the distinguished Vice Chair and Rapporteur of the committee, Mr. Hussein Nasrallah of Lebanon, to provide us with a brief summary of the outcomes of the 20th session of the committee. Mr. Rapporteur, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, distinguished delegates, I have the honor to present to the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention a brief summary of the outcome of the deliberations of the Cric at its 20th session. The committee and its 20th session held 5 meetings from 12 to 18 May 2022, and parties addressed all items on the agenda of Cric 20. The committee decided to establish a contact group on matters under its agenda and a joint Cric CST contact group on matters in common with the Committee on Science and Technology, and to appoint Mr. Julius Smith of Trinidad and Tobago as facilitator of both groups. At its meeting today on 18 May 2022, the committee adopt the following 8 draft decisions. Under its agenda item 2, entitled Effective Implementation of the Convention at National, Sub-regional, and Regional Levels, the committee adopted 3 draft decisions. Under sub-item 2A, a draft decision entitled Report of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention at its 19th session and contained in document ICCD/Cric 20L1. Under sub-item 2D, a draft decision entitled Integration of Sustainable Development Goal 15 and related Target 15.3 into the implementation of the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification and Land Degradation Neutrality, and contained in document ICCD/20/L2. Under sub-item 2E, a draft decision entitled Promotion of Capacity Building to further the implementation of the Convention and contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L3. Under agenda item 3, entitled Improving the Procedures for Communication of Information as well as the quality and formats of reports to be submitted to the Conference of Parties, the committee adopted a draft decision on improving the procedures and communication of information as well as the quality and formats of reports to be submitted to the Conference of Parties contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L6. Under its agenda, item 4, entitled Securing of Additional Investments and Relation with Financial Mechanism, the committee adopted 2 draft decisions. Under sub-item A, a draft decision entitled Collaboration with the Global Environmental Facility and contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L8. And under sub-item B, a draft decision entitled Report by the Global Mechanism on Progress Made on Mobilization of Resources for the Implementation of the Convention and contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L7. Finally, under its agenda item 5, entitled Procedural Matters, Program of Work for the 21st session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention, the committee adopted 2 draft decisions. Program of Work for the 21st session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L5. And date and venue of the 21st session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention contained in document ICCD/Cric 20/L4. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I thank the rapporteur of the committee for his report. Does any delegation wish to make a statement in connection with the report of the rapporteur? I see no request for the floor. May I take it that the committee approves the draft report of this session on the understanding that the rapporteur would complete it with the assistance of the Secretariat? I hear no objection. It is so decided. The committee has thus concluded its consideration of agenda item 6. Distinguished delegates, I invite the committee to consider agenda item 1, sub-item B, entitled Election of Officers Other than the Chair of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention. Delegations will recall that pursuant to paragraphs 7 and 8 of the Terms of Reference of the Cric, as contained in the annex to Decision 13/COP13, 4 vice chairs shall constitute the Bureau of the Cric, together with the chair, elected by the Conference of the Parties in accordance with Rule 31 of the Rules of Procedure of the COP. Consequently, in accordance with this decision, the Chair will call for the election of these officers at the final meeting of the Cric. The Vice Chairs elected, of whom one shall act as rapporteur, shall assume their office immediately. In connection with this decision, the committee has before it 4 nominated candidates to be elected as its Vice Chairs. Mr. David Payang of Cameroon, Mr. Abdouv Bakhid Zakhadulev of Uzbekistan, Ms. Karim Lins of Panama, and Mr. Baptiste Astrade of France. May I take it that the committee wishes to elect these 4 candidates as Vice Chairs of the committee for the review of the implementation of the Convention for its 21st and 22nd sessions? I hear no objection. It is so decided. On behalf of the committee, I would like to express my heartiest congratulations to the newly elected Vice Chairs of the committee and wish them all the best in their work during the upcoming sessions of the committee. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, we have thus concluded our consideration of all items on our agenda for the 18th session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention to Combat Desertification. Before closing the session, please allow me to share some reflections with you. Madam Deputy Executive Secretary, distinguished delegates, our development partners from international organizations and civil society organizations. We will recall that it was since 2019 that we had an in-person COP. And last year we held a virtual COP where we were constrained in decision-making. I think we can safely say that we have made significant progress here at COP15 in Abidjan. We have, over the last 2 weeks, been able to take decisions and move the needle in many key areas, including the implementation of the voluntary land degradation neutrality targets, operationalization of the Land Degradation Neutrality Fund, implementation of the Drought Initiative, in gender, and in land tenure. I think we all can be proud of the work we have accomplished here in Abidjan. I wish to thank the government and the people of Côte d'Ivoire for making our stay here fruitful, memorable, and safe during the entire duration of the 15th session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. As we are ending the 20th session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention, my term as chair of the committee also ends, and I wish to say that it has been an honor and a privilege for Guyana and me personally to serve as the chair of the Cric during this term. I wish to thank Cric Bureau members also for overseeing and guiding the work along in this period. Allow me to thank also the facilitator of the Cric Contact Group, Mr. Julius Smith of Trinidad and Tobago, for navigating the negotiations to achieve consensus on the decisions which were brought to our plenary. Allow me to thank the Global Mechanism for the support that it has been providing as we seek to implement decisions and strive towards the realization of the objectives of the Convention. I also wish to thank the Secretariat for the tireless support that has been provided at all hours of the day and night. And last but not least, I wish to thank you, the delegates, for your valuable contributions in arriving at decisions and making Cric 22 a success. Thank you all for making the 20th session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention a truly successful event, and have a safe trip back home. I hereby declare closed the 20th session of the Committee for the Review of the Implementation of the Convention.